And then a little bit more big picture about these two programs, because, Michigan takes the title last year, and then the thought is, okay, well, Ohio State's still the program. Michigan's going to have to prove it. They're going to have to back it up. And we're looking at, the recruiting front has been kind of quiet for a time here in regards to actually getting commits out of these two schools and most schools across the country. And Michigan sitting at 14 hard commits, the 29th rated class in the country, according to 247 Sports. Ohio State still has a top 5 class. Is this Michigan Hall? Oh, what in the world does this tell us?
Kevin?
What it tells us is, I think that it's a case of we all think that recruiting immediately bears fruit. That, okay, you do this and suddenly everybody is knocking at your door once in, and that's not necessarily the case. It's a relationship business. It takes a little bit of time. After you win a national championship, it's not that immediate class. It's the class after that, the one where you're still building those relationships and doing those types of things. One of the things that's always been curious about Michigan recruiting is just the territories that they go into. I mean, they've really just given up on recruiting the state of Ohio, which is fine, if you're an Ohio State person. But, going into the Northeast, okay, you can recruit Vermont better than anybody. Congratulations on doing that. And then, everybody goes in and kind of mixes it up, in the South. I mean, there's so many kids in the South and Florida and Georgia and Alabama and Auburn. They can't take them all, so you try to get in there. But, I think, too, we're not seeing as accelerated of a recruiting calendar anymore. When we first instituted the early signing period, like everybody and their uncle had to be committed. It was quick. And then we've seen a little bit of a slowdown at this point. I mean, Ohio State, for where it's ranked right now, things could look very different in 6 weeks with the 3 defensive ends that are being recruited and everything else. And I'm trying to, I'm changing the subject a little bit there, but I think we're just seeing a little bit of a slowdown. And Michigan's not going to end up being 24th or 29th or whatever when it comes to final classes. But I just think sometimes some of the kids that you get involved in, you're just going to have to kind of wait it out. And now that we're into the season and kids are taking officials, you're right, Mark. Things have slowed down a little bit, and not a lot of major kids have come off the board in the last couple of weeks.
I'm just looking at Michigan's recruiting class right now. They have no top 100 commits. Their top guy is like 127, and he would be the number, I think, 8 guy in Ohio State's class right now. Ohio State has 5 top 100 guys. Michigan has more guys outside the top 600. I think they've got 3 commits outside the top 600 than they do inside the top 100, and maybe even inside the top 200. It's 3 guys inside the top 200 for Michigan, 3 guys outside the top 600, and that's not include 4 guys outside the top 600, and they've also got the number 597 player. Like, these are guys that they cast this wide net, and they could have a better. They could do more hard target searching, as they would say in the fugitive. And one of those areas would be Ohio, and there's there's places to go, but it's not Connecticut and it's not Massachusetts where they like to be. I just think they settle a lot, and that hurts their depth. And I think we're about to see that depth in play this year, and we'll see if it's as good as they thought it was when they were recruiting. I just think there's a lot of settling on Jim Harbaugh's part in the recruiting world.
It's almost like he's recruiting like he doesn't plan on being the Michigan coach for a long time. Oh, that's right. He spent the entire last offseason trying to get an NFL job, didn't he? Funny how that goes, isn't it?
Things that make you say,
Find that rather shallow and pedantic.
It is true. It's like, well, these will be somebody else's problem. It's like, well, crap. Now they're my problem again until after the season.
And prior to 97, it wasn't since the Eisenhower administration. Eisenhower late for them.
Barely Eisenhower. Wasn't it 48? Wasn't that the year?
Yeah, maybe. Truman?
It might have been Truman.
Truman.
I think it's the Truman administration. It's not.
Oof. Those poor people. They're just volunteers.
Let's not bring the Michigan dynasty up into the 50s. Let's not make it that recent.